I will call the Thursday, February 26th meeting of the Planning Commission to order. It is 6 p.m. And our first order of business is to swear in newly reappointed Planning Commissioner Gail Nichols.
Would you like to stand? Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Gail Nichols,
I, Gail Nichols,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold
that I will uphold
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the State of Oregon,
of the State of Oregon,
the Charter and codes
the Charter and codes
of the City of Dune City,
of the City of Dune City,
and that I will
and that I will
faithfully perform
faithfully perform
the duties of Commissioner
the duties of Commissioner
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so long as I am in office.
so long as I am in office.
Okay?
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Gail, for your service and dedication. Could we have a roll call, please?
Chair Wenzel Overholtz.
Here.
Actually Vice Chair Gail Nichols.
Here.
Commissioner Jamie Border. Present. And Commissioner Sean Gunn.
Here.
Thank you. And we still have one vacancy on the Planning Commission. If anybody is interested, application forms are available at the office. Will everybody join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And so the next item of business is to select the chair and vice chair for the coming year, which we usually do in January, but we didn't have Gail present last month, so we'll do that now. I'm open to nominations or suggestions.
I nominate you for chair.
I second.
Yes. Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I'm speechless, actually. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to nominate me, Rapunzel, for chair. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. I shall be chair for the next year. Thank you, by the way.
You do a good job.
Thank you, thank you. Nominations for vice chair? I'll make one. I'd like to nominate Gail for vice chair.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to nominate Gail Nichols for vice chair. Any discussion?
I think we're a good team.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Gail Nichols will serve as vice chair for the next year. Thank you. The next item of business is consideration of the agenda. Does anybody have any questions, changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. The next item is consideration of the consent agenda, which is the Planning Commission meeting minutes from January 22nd. Any questions, comments, corrections?
No, I can see.
Hearing none, may I have a motion to adopt the minutes from January 22nd?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the Planning Commission meeting minutes from January 22nd. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. The next item is announcements and correspondence. In your packets, Commissioners, you have meeting minutes from the City Council on January 21st and the City Council on February 4th. Any questions or comments? Lots of discussion about short-term rentals. More discussion coming up. Lila, do you have other announcements?
Just that the Oregon Government Ethics Commission Statement of Interest, the filing period is going to start on March 15th, so coming up.
We'll all get emails,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, you should, yes.
Okay. All right. The next item of business is a public hearing on Dune City's Development Code, Chapter 155. Tonight we have a public hearing on proposed changes to the city's development code. The review and rewriting of this particular chapter of Dune City's code has been under consideration and continual reworking since around 2011. Thousands of volunteer and staff hours have gone into discussing and debating the language. And tonight, we're taking another long, hard look at the results of all the work we've been doing over the last several years. This is a Type 4 legislative decision. Legislative decisions generally establish land use policies for the city. The hearing will be held in accordance with the land use decision procedures required by the city and the state of Oregon. These proceedings will be recorded. Staff has identified the applicable criteria, which are listed in the staff report. These are the criteria the Planning Commission must use in making its decision on a recommendation to the City Council. All testimony and evidence must be directed toward these criteria or other criteria in the city's comprehensive plan or land use regulations, which the person testifying believes to apply to the decision. Failure to raise an issue with sufficient detail to give the Planning Commission or the City Council and the parties involved an opportunity to respond precludes an appeal to the Oregon Land Use Board of Appeals on that issue. Okay. I will now close the regular session of this Planning Commission meeting and open the public hearing. It is 6:10 p.m. Could we please have the staff report?
Yes, that will be myself tonight. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So tonight I'll be providing the staff report. My name is Henry Hurley, Associate Planner from Lane Council of Governments. Lila and I have been working on this for several months to get this in front of you tonight. So I did prepare the staff report. It's pretty brief. The chair did a good job of kind of explaining the background of how we got to this point. Dune City has been working on this for several years, and they finally got to the point where they want to look at getting it adopted. And the first step in doing that is holding a planning commission public hearing. So we did notice the entire city using a Measure 56 notice. A lot of you, probably all of you, have gotten a postcard in the mail notifying you of this hearing. And then the applicable criteria for a Type 4 amendment, they're in Section 155.4.1.7E. And those are pretty generic. You'll see this with all Type 4 amendments. It's the amendments have to be consistent with the Oregon statewide planning goals. And you'll see the goals I have listed there in the staff report and kind of a description or a response or a finding as to how they are consistent. And then criteria 2 and 3, they don't really apply to this. Criteria 2 just asks for any comments that were received from any applicable federal or state agencies. We have received none. And then criteria 3, any applicable intergovernmental agreements. We're not aware of any intergovernmental agreements that would have an impact on this. And then the last criteria is very similar to the first one. And it's just that the amendments have to be consistent with the city's comprehensive plan policies and goals. So as you saw in the staff report, we have a response listed for each criteria, and staff does recommend that you review it tonight and issue a recommendation onto the city council for adoption. Since this is a Type 4 application, the planning commission's role is to issue a recommendation onto city council, and city council will take final action on the amendments, and they will adopt it via an ordinance. And I'll turn it back over to you unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Henry. And thank you for taking time to be with us this evening.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it. Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Hurley?
No.
Okay. And we can further discuss the staff report when we go into deliberation. We will now take testimony from anybody who wishes to testify. So if you haven't already done so, would you please sign in with Lila?
I signed her.
Thank you. Okay. I have the sign-up sheet. So first is Juliana Johnson.
Yes. I'm Juliana Johnson. I'm just getting a first look at this. I am a resident of Westlake. I don't think you're ready for prime time yet. Kind of starting off from the top on page 2 of the code. In your changes, you go from using a list of use together, govern land use, comma, review land use applications, no comma, and then you start in with ands and ands and ands. That's a run-on sentence. I mean, it doesn't make sense to do it that way. Throughout this, it looks like you're changing from section to division. I'm assuming there is a reason for that. It doesn't make any sense to do that, but I'm sure there's a reason. The same thing, you're changing from districts to zones. However, as I've started to read through this, you're not consistent. There's places where you have not changed it from districts to zones or from sections to divisions. So you haven't done your homework on it. Then you get down here, Division 155.3, and you have to achieve a greater quality of life for the residents. I'm not sure what a greater quality of life is in that context. I mean, a better quality of life, a more pleasant quality of life, but a greater quality of life, it doesn't make sense. Next page. Again, starts off with sections. If you're changing this to divisions, why are you still back at sections? You haven't gotten this all the way through. You know, you need to be consistent.
Ms. Johnson, can I interrupt?
Yes.
If you have a list of Scrivener errors in your comments, could you submit those to staff and try to address just the general criteria that we're looking at? Scrivener's errors are really not germane to the language, and we don't want to take the time tonight to debate those.
Ma'am, I have 3 minutes to speak,
Yeah, well, yes, you do.
and I am getting to other things. I just started at the beginning.
All right, go ahead.
The next thing here is on your fees and costs. If the application, this is about the middle of the paragraph, it says, if the application deposit is insufficient to cover the cost of the processing the application, the applicant will be notified of the deficiency and shall pay and submit an additional deposit in the identical amount of the original deposit. That is odd. If you've already found out that there's a difference, that there's more that they need to pay, why not just the more they need to pay? For instance, if the original deposit is $500 and you find out, oh, they're $5 over that, why would you require them to make an additional $500 deposit? It should be paid up to date, not paid ahead. That's a Scrivener's error. I mean, this is just rife with Scrivener's errors. And then you have changed page 5, 155, 1.2.150 is the new number for it. And you've changed from certificate of occupancy required to ensure the completion of a development or use in the manner approved. A development, and you've changed it from shall to may not be occupied. And you've changed it from shall to may not begin until the city has issued a new certificate of occupancy. Why change something where you want them to comply with what you want to do? And shall means shall, you will do it. May means, maybe. But you want them to do it. You want it completed. And that's why it should remain shall. And again, in the next paragraph, the 155.121060, again, you've changed a shall to a may. And this is the way it goes through the whole thing. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. I'm sure I'm running close to my 3 minutes. But you've got Scrivener errors through all this thing. I've only gotten this far into it. And it just, you need to have somebody read this through. There's typos, there's these other errors, and things like the changing the shall to a may that don't make sense. And I think that these things need to be addressed before this is sent on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I'm reading the last name right. Is it O'Day?
Yes. Yes.
Hello.
Irish spelling, everybody gets it wrong, it's okay. Do you mind if I drag a chair up there so these guys don't stir in my butt? Hello Commissioners, my name is Kim O'Day, Land and Development. I spent 20 years as a land use attorney. I'm not here as a land use attorney tonight. I'm here representing Alex Suckoff, who is a resident here of Dune City. First, I'd like to thank staff. She's been good. I've been texting her and emailing her. I've been emailing her like crazy trying to get some feedback because I came to this late in the game and it's a lot of pages for me to review, so I want to thank you for your help. My first question is whether this has been reviewed by legal counsel. I happen to be good friends with Jim Chaney, and he says he hasn't seen it from LCOG, and maybe Gary Darnielle has looked at it, I'm not sure, but I see you have a letter from me in front of you. I'm not going to go through that entire letter. I'm just going to hit the high points here, because some of the issues I see are fairly large legal issues, and we all know that trips to LUBA, even just putting the record together to go to LUBA is extremely expensive, and I would think it would be good if someone looked at this before it went much further. Yes, there are the criteria there that Mr. Hurley put forth. Staff report was fine, but your ordinance has to be consistent with state law as well, and it has to be in the public interest. And there are several pieces of this that just have, I think, have some legal issues. Again, I haven't been able to dig into that very deep. ORS, the 155 to 140B, that's an interpretation of the statute rather than just being a word for word from the statute, and that's a must. It's a policy issue that you have to follow. The interpretation that's been put in the code doesn't say exactly what the statute says, and it would be wise to go through and at least fix that piece. The shift in 130E from the ordinary low water line to ordinary high water line impacts property owners, but more importantly, the rules that follow that are inconsistent with avulsion, accretion, and the state navigable stream law. You don't own to the center of a navigable river. You can't. The state of Oregon keeps that in the Constitution of Oregon. So those provisions themselves are inconsistent with state law. There's a piece of the code towards the end that, and this happens throughout the code, so I don't have citations, that just defers compliance to the city engineer without a lick of criteria that go with it. It says, you're going to do street alignments and you're going to do intersection angles and dead-end streets and grades. And it doesn't give you any criteria. It says the city engineer gets to determine what those are. That's not consistent with what criteria for a land use application can even have. State requires criteria that are identifiable that an applicant can actually look at and see whether they can comply. They can't be left to guess. So unless there's some other provisions in there, maybe you could defer it to a section of another section of a code, but you can't just give it to the city engineer to make his best guess as to what he needs, which would clearly allow someone to change over time. That's the problem, and that's why the statute set up this criteria, this rule for criteria, so it can't change from application to application. You've taken out site review, and maybe there's a good reason for that. Again, I apologize, I didn't have a lot of time to go through this, but it seems an odd thing to remove from a code. I've never seen a code without site review in it in some capacity.
So just so you know, this was a site review permit requirement.
Okay, so a different type of application?
It's an application for a permit to do a site review.
Well, that makes a lot more sense. I don't even know what that is. Okay, take that one off my list.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And then the last thing is the removal of, and again, like I said at the beginning of this, if I did read it fast. If I got things wrong, I apologize. But there's this apparent removal of the code interpretation process. And most jurisdictions are scrambling to get that back into their code so that there's a way when there's a lot of confusion that for applicants that we can say, hey, we don't understand what this code means. We need a formal decision on what this section of the code means. And so you do this formal code interpretation process, and then you walk away with something you can rely on. So it's very, most people are scrambling to get that into the code. I've not seen it come out, but maybe it went back in somewhere else. Again, I apologize. I've been trying to catch up with this really fast. And so that's really, I've got a big list here, but those are the big legal issues that I saw that I wanted to bring to your attention here tonight, and hopefully there's time before you make a recommendation to go through these things and get maybe a little bit of guidance or just maybe county council's eye over if that has not happened. Again, I couldn't get a clear answer for that, so I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David Roberts?
I have nothing to say at this time.
Really? Okay.
I thought it was a present log.
Yeah.
Same.
All good.
And I'm not sure I'm reading the next person. Is it Patricia?
Yeah, it's the same. I thought we were supposed to sign in because I followed him.
Okay, well, thank you. Mary McKenzie?
Oh, what was I signing for? Just to say that I'm here?
Did you want to address the commission or just let us know you were here?
I will just let you know that I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Boatman?
My name's Hansford Boatman. I am a resident of Westlake. And I guess my main question is, what is the open space overlay zone? In reading section A on page 71, it says the open space designation applies to all lots on Booth Island, except for most of Hideaway Island addition to Dune City, and lot 20, 12, 03, 10, 3001. An open space / residential designation applies to certain lots of the Hideaway addition. I did come into City Hall and pose the question, you know, as far as open space, what does that mean? And how is it applied to one property and not to the other? What is it, what is the difference of being in the open space designation? And this just says Booth Islands except for most of the Hideaway Island addition. Okay, not specifically, and there is a certain lot that's called out specifically, which is at the very end of the Hideaway addition. But again, I don't understand what is the difference, what is the open space designation, and how does it affect each of the properties? And that's what I was looking to find out. I couldn't find that out yesterday, and so that's basically what I had to say. Does anybody have any? Which lots and what's the difference?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Leanne?
What do you say?
Thank you. Dan Martin?
Yeah, I'm just here to observe. I received a postcard. I haven't had an opportunity to go over the ordinance, but I guess I just want to know how it would affect myself and my property, if it does at all. And Gail probably would know better than anybody since she's my neighbor.
We can talk.
We'll talk later about it, yeah. But I'm really just here to observe.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Okay. Jonathan A.
How's it going?
Oh, it's not. Oh.
Video?
Yeah,
Oh.
I was driving here and I thought I'd be late. But, yeah, Jonathan Anderson. I wrote yes question mark for resident. I don't know whether I can or not. I own a piece of land that we're hoping to build on in the next month or two, but so I do wonder whether we'll be using whatever we approve versus what's legal now, but either way. So we own land here, but don't have a house here yet, but I live down in Coos Bay. So I was interested in, on page 43, let me pull it up right here. So just general requirements for building a house. It says frontage, so each lot shall have a frontage not less than 60 feet upon a street or a street easement, except, and then it talks about cul-de-sac and radius, and so if you have a piece of land where a private road goes to that piece of land and it's not wider than 60 feet, I'm just wondering how that would affect things if you don't technically have a 35 feet of frontage on a cul-de-sac. You've got a private road that ends up just on a street. That doesn't technically put your land 60 feet along a street. So that's one thought that came to mind. And in that section A, it talks about a lot just below. It says the next page on page 44. It says a lot on the outer radius of a curved street or facing a cul-de-sac shall have a frontage of no less than 35 feet upon a street measured on the arc. And so when I look at the Lane County road rules, they also refer to not just cul-de-sacs, but like hammerhead road options when you're developing wider roads. And so I was just wondering if perhaps you guys would consider doing cul-de-sac or hammerhead, since it's in the Lane County road code for streets. But either way, just hope to make sure that, you know, two separate regulatory bodies are saying sort of the same thing. The other section that I know quite a bit more about is, because I don't profess to be all knowledgeable on all things, but we haven't built a house on our land yet, but we did build a boat dock, and that took about 2 years. That was a long process. So I've dove through the open space rules quite a bit. You guys are changing quite a bit. And so I guess my main comment is I noticed that, let me find it here, on page 65, we've sort of crossed off a lot of stuff, which some stuff was very out of date and it makes sense to change it. But I'd say it's pretty notable to say that we've essentially pivoted from the city rules for building a dock to saying we're going to match exactly the Fish and Wildlife guidelines of a 144 square foot dock, 6 foot by 24 feet per individual residence, and sort of just leave it at that. I guess my main comment is, having gone through this, I really appreciated the rules that are currently law right now. We ended up building a U-shaped boat dock, which was penciled out at like 396 square feet, I think. So there, even though Department of State Lands uses the Fish and Wildlife guidelines as their general rule and general guideline, there are times in the negotiation process with the other regulatory bodies where you can do something different from that. And so, in my opinion, I think this is too restrictive. That is just my opinion. But also, I guess, knowing that some of the other regulatory bodies do have some leeway for negotiation, I'm just wondering, have we put anything in here that would essentially allow someone to make their case to go outside of the 144 square foot maximum rules? Do you guys have that in a process in here for review, or would that just be a variance application? Or?
It's not currently in the rules. It could be a variance, yes.
Okay. Because another part of when I was reading through all of this was sort of the thought of, you know, not to attach myself to any controversial things, but my family came here and we've utilized some of the short-term rentals at times, and we don't drink and we don't, you know, throw parties, but we love boating and playing on the water, and that's sort of what made us fall in love with this area and why we bought land and we intend on building a house. And I probably know almost every single property along the entire shore of Wolfing because we boated all around, and I don't think I can think of more than a few boat docks that even meet this criteria. I think almost every single one I've seen are larger. I'd say at least half, but probably more than that. And so what I'm interested in knowing is if someone were to need to repair their boat dock more than 75%, with these rules, would they just be told no, they need to tear their boat dock out? Or how would someone repair an older dock that doesn't fit with this newer restrictive rules? Is there an answer to that question, or?
I'm sure there is.
Okay, it's okay if you don't know off the top of your head, but I guess, again, probably my biggest concern on that is I'm not at all advocating that we do anything to, get rid of all the green space and just put docks everywhere, but if there are a lot of boat docks that are older and needing to be repaired, I'd just hate for us to have city code be so restrictive that then people who really should improve them just don't want to do anything because the code's saying that, well, they're just going to lose it if they have to repair it. So that's sort of my comment. In my opinion, I think that, just to call out some numbers, if you go over 400 square foot, the Corps of Engineers has to then do their own assessment and report, and like I said, it was about 1.5 years of negotiating back and forth with Department of State Lands, and that was an immensely complicated process. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, I think it would be a lot easier for Dune City to adjust the total square footage rules to 400 square feet and allow the other two agencies that just spend tons of time going back and forth with people, sort of let them do all the extra complexities of negotiations instead of putting that burden on Dune City. That's my opinion of what should be changed. But yeah, main thought is I'd just hate to see a number of people with sort of older rotting docks want to do something but not do anything because the code is basically telling them they need to rip it out and have nothing. So that's my main suggestion there.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. And what was your last name again? Anderson?
Anderson, yeah.
Thanks. Jack Mobley?
So, hi, everybody. So my biggest thing is, this thing is so restrictive and overly burdensome to us, that I reviewed most of it, and it's so restrictive for everybody that's a property owner here in Dune City, but there's one thing in there that says any property purchased by Dune City is excluded and exempt from the compliance of the development requirements. So there's no restrictions for you, but you're asking to put all these restrictions on us. And I'm a contractor, and I fought with Lane County to get permits for years and years. And reading this is gonna be 10 times worse getting a permit from you to build in Dune City than it is getting it from the county. And in my opinion, it's going to significantly lower and reduce our property values. Because you're just restricting everything. I mean, it's like the solar thing. You gotta have a solar window above. I find it just very, very restrictive. And I think it needs to be really looked at hard before it's approved. And I mean, I read this stuff a lot, and half of it I can't even interpret. And I've been building houses for 30 years. So, thanks.
Thank you. Rich Olson. Rich? Olson?
Rich?
Oh. I didn't know that I signed up, but
I did that for you.
you did?
Yeah.
All right. There is a clause in here that states the high water mark and I realize that high water mark is designated primarily by the state or somebody, I'm not quite sure. But the high water mark that you have listed in here is an unrealistic number and needs to be addressed, needs to be corrected. Because if you go off a 13-foot high water mark, this lake has never been 13 foot unless it's flooding in the 11 years that I've been.
Siltcoos, is that what you're talking about?
Huh?
Siltcoos?
Yes.
Okay.
So definitely need to address that. The part, I don't remember exactly where it's at. I haven't been through all this 100%, but there's a portion of the code where it states that you can't build a shop without it being attached to a residence. I think that needs to be eliminated because you know, you can't get a sewer, you can't get a well or anything like that unless you have a residence, and we shouldn't be overreaching on the citizens and not allowing them to do what they want with their properties. We don't want to over-regulate, and if we recall why Dune City was created in the first place was because people didn't want the federal government or the state to over-regulate their properties and take their properties. So we need to remember that when going through this and make sure that we're not overstepping our bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Geneva Jackson?
Well, I've written some of this out. That'll make things a little easier, but first of all, I've written down 275 because that seems to be what you've got online. Is that what we're calling this ordinance when we're all through, is 275? Well, I know how hard you guys have worked, and I've been here for a lot of these meetings, but I concur. I think we probably still need some more work. It's better constructed in some ways than before. It's certainly more concise, but it really doesn't reflect the goals and philosophy of the city as stated in the charter and previous comprehensive plans. We have a comprehensive plan from 2013 that says that the city has not always been successful in its attempt to preserve forest lands through its comprehensive plan, and stresses the importance of doing so. It states that the city's forests are important buffers between conflicting uses, windbreaks, wildlife and fishery habitats, livestock habitat, scenic corridors, and recreation uses appropriate in a forest setting. So we're celebrating forests, all right? Several sections of the current comprehensive plan attempt to protect the environment, and they've been deleted in Ordinance 275. This is the case regarding 155.4.3 and Section 155.4.5. The city wants required that building plans call out the size and number of trees and a tree coverage map. The city now merely asks developers to provide plans that display an efficient use of natural and developmental resources. I mean, I looked at these coverage maps and they're calling for the size of the trees and how many there are. I'm concerned because, especially with some of the land I've seen in off of Clear Lake Road, there's a lot of property over there that is certainly not on an acre. Finally, in the past, the city protected Dune City's environment, water, and quality of life by requiring 1 acre lots for single-family homes and 5 acre lots for planned unit development. Well, this continues to be stated in 275. The ordinance also provides generous opportunities for variances that could result in serious environmental harm. including dangers such as landslides. And we've had landslides here in Westlake. So, and I've been here to the meetings to listen about the people who are dealing with dirt from other people's homes. And the last thing I want to say is, someplace in here it talks about how we're supposed to behave in meetings. And so I got out the state's regulations regarding behavior at meetings. And what it basically said, it was, well, the cities absolutely have the right, and there's a need for conducting meetings in a way that they're efficient and people are polite and respectful. At the same time, some of the things that you have listed here, the state is saying, don't do that. And one of them has to do with expressive conduct. It says here, reasonable restrictions may be placed on public participation. However, care must be taken to protect freedom of speech under the First Amendment, Article 1 of the Oregon Constitution, of course, the federal Constitution. Speech is protected as a protected right that can be enjoyed not only through actual speech, but through expressive conduct, such as making gestures, wearing certain clothing, performing a symbolic act. So you can't, basically what they're saying is don't tell people they can't hold up a sign. You know, if it's a rude sign, if it's a vulgar or something, yeah, you can just kick somebody out with a sign like that, just like you could if I wanted to swear. But anyway, that is not, that's not matching the state's regulations. Anyway, you guys work very, very hard, and this is work that I'm glad I'm not doing, but those are my comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Jeannie Jackson, thank you.
I am Jeannie Jackson. That was my sister Geneva. We are longtime residents of the area and have been coming to the meetings regarding this ordinance, which has grown from being 259 pages to now much lengthier. And I'm just showing you the old ordinance for those of you who weren't here. We had to wade through all of this, and it was even more poorly written then. They have worked very hard to clean things up and tighten it up, but it still leaves a lot to be desired. And these things will affect us all. It's really important. And so just a little bit, I'll speak by 3 minutes, so take no more time. But anyway, I just wanted to say to Dune City Planning Commission and citizens, my sister Geneva and I started attending your DC meetings during the COVID epidemic, when most other cities closed their meetings and had them online for the safety of their residents. We complained to no avail, had to sit here through meetings anyway, exposing ourselves to who knows what. A lot of people were sick. I had a cousin who died and another one who spent 10 days in the ICU. So yes, COVID was real. And we have persisted to come to your meetings, and because we are concerned about the passage of this massive ordinance. And it has been suggested by many, including our own Mayor McGuire, who was once part of your planning commission. As you know, when he first came here, that's what he did. That's when I first met him. And he was talking about when he became mayor, I was talking about how massive this is, and he said, yes, I really think it should be broken down into increments or smaller portions so it can be studied by the citizens in the city. You know, this is massive for any of you to have to read, or any of us, and parts of it are very poorly written. You've really cleaned up the language and made it much more readable. I appreciate that. Some of the new material that is in the blue lettering, we just received at your last meeting, although I had been asking for a long time. It's not your fault that I can't go online, but it is a problem for me. And you did provide us with copies at your expense of the new, which is all scattered all over the house because I've been working on it. But what I did find that I was concerned about in the new version you have come up with is some of the new material that's in the blue lettering and we just received it your last meeting, has changed, as has what was deleted in red. We were surprised to see this, this especially concerns me, portions such as 155.4.5, where it strikes down several environmental requirements without replacing them, and allows for the cutting of more trees, which could cause further erosion and a loss of our treasured habitat for residents and wildlife. It could also affect our water quality for years to come, a big issue in Dune City, as you know. I'm concerned as well about and this is on page, this is on page 80, where you are discussing changes that are in store, that it is suggested that we have the installation, quote, on page 80, the installation of a public park facilities by city, including bicycle, hiking pathways, covered overlooks, and picnic overways areas, newly listed on page 80 as being number 8, as if it were always there. It was not. This was recently added, you can tell by the blue lettering, and thank you. Thank you for being honest and pointing out what's new. I really appreciate that. But anyway, I know that this is a pet project of the city because they want to get a land grant. They want to get a grant so they can make some more money for the city. But this area is a special wetland area that has never been developed. By your own specifications, it's been a wetland area, the state and county. It's not to be built on. So why would we now be building and developing it ourselves when we've told citizens they can't, which is why the city got it for a real bargain, because the previous owner found he really couldn't do much, if anything, with it. So that concerns me. So I think it's wrong that the city wishes to develop an area that you have told other residents cannot be developed because you care about the sanctity of our environment, and that's just wrong. Anyway, I thank you for your time and effort, and I know you have all worked very hard to improve this, but I think there's still a need for more work. And I thank you very much, Rich, for speaking up and saying what you did, because I know as a member of the council, you probably would like to see this already passed too. But I think you need to think a little more about the people who live here, and this needs to be more readable, and it's ridiculous to make anybody read something this massive. I've been to, many city meetings, other places, and I've never been confronted with something like this. I know it's taken you years and years, but it's really gotten out of control. And present it in small implements. Like even the mayor said, well, we could do that. And I said, that's a great idea. So you might consider that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? You didn't sign up or thought of something to add? Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions for anyone who's testified?
I have a question for Lila.
Well, all right.
If we took out all the edits and then reprinted this, how much shorter would this be?
I think about 180 to 190 pages.
Excellent. So we went from 250 down to 180.
So it didn't grow.
It didn't grow. I just wanted a point of clarification. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Could you repeat that?
Sure. I'm a math teacher, so we have a 255-page document in front of us, and because there's line stripes and other things so that you can see the changes, the argument being presented to us is saying that this is an over-cumbersome document. The original document is 250 pages. If we were to remove all the extra edits and things that are showing the change in language, the actual document size would go from 250 down to about 180-ish. So we've cut out many pages of language and redundancies in the hopes to try and clean this up. But to present it to you, the public, we had to show the changes so that you could see what the before and after, and then saying like, hey, you guys are making this more cumbersome? No, we're really trying to make this easier to read. Now, this has been going for over a decade, and I've been working on it with them for a while, and yes, I agree, it's not perfect, but you need to have something. And this limbo that we're in is not serving the city. So, I agree that we're having discussion, but we need to put something and be relevant with the times.
I appreciate that you put that material in so we
Okay,
know what's been changed.
Any other commissioners have questions for people who have testified?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Miss, did you have something that you wanted to add?
I think I do. How does this, okay, you're saying you're putting it all out here for everybody to read in one version and making it this 250 pages for us to read and understand. Then you say, okay, we can either do it that way or make it shorter, but you people are not doing it to benefit us. You want us to be able to read it all, correct? The good and bad on that 250 page.
When you approve it, you're actually going to condense it down.
Correct. Okay, then the next question would be, with the next meeting, is it going to be done after that? This next meeting coming up in regards to the postcard, when it says, this is just going over it, and then you're going to have another meeting on
March 18th.
So
So what's going to be done in the meantime?
The process that we're going through right now is the public hearing to gather even more feedback than we have the last couple of years. We'll discuss all of the comments and the questions. Our role, either at this meeting or at an extended one in the future, is to make a recommendation to the City Council on whether or not to adopt the language we're presenting to them. Did that answer your question? So we'll be making a recommendation to the City Council, and they will decide whether or not they're going to adopt it.
And you're doing it by way of that 250-page manual.
So the things in red are being stricken, the things that are in blue are being changed and added, the black is staying as far as, that's how that, if you were to see the color-coded document that Ms. Jackson has, if you wanted to look at hers. So the things that are red, we're removing.
It is online.
And it's online too.
It's online.
Yes, they say it's online, if you have a computer and can figure out how to access it. I don't, so they were kind enough to give it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, going back to my open space that I was asking about.
Yes.
Basically, I was asking, I'd come to City Hall, I'd ask the question, they weren't able to answer it. I was told that I need to come here to ask the question, but my question is how do I find out what Hideaway Island additions fall under open space, which ones do not, and what's the difference between being part of open space and not being part of open space? How do I find out that information?
Okay. Yes, so if the city has maps which show the open space areas within the city, and it does show Booth Island as being almost all open space. As you pointed out, northernmost lot, is it northern? Yeah, northernmost lot of Hideaway Addition is partially open space, and the other part of it isn't, and the rest of Hideaway Island is not open space. If you don't know which part of Booth Island is Hideaway Island, you can come into the office and get a plat map that'll show you what Hideaway Island is. Okay, and as far as designating open spaces, they're designated, I believe, by the county, possibly at request of property owners. Mr. Hurley might be able to answer that question for me. And properties, when you look at the assessor's records, will say whether or not they're open space. And they're usually recorded on maps that show open space. Did that help?
possible.
This is Henry. I do not have an answer to that question. I'm not familiar with that process for Dune City.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions?
I
Yes,
just had a
ma'am.
simple procedural question. So you've had a lot of questions asked of you tonight. You've received more written testimony as well. But I see on here that new business is deliberation and discussion. I think what I heard you say is that's not necessarily the case. You may take the time to actually consider what's been said tonight and come back and deliberate later. So there's an opportunity for staff to answer some of these questions and put out another answer report, respond to some of these issues. Is that a possibility before we move forward, or is it just that y'all going to move forward with a recommendation and we're back at the city council making the same arguments?
Well, part of deliberation should be what to do with the suggestions that we've had, both in writing and here, and how to, or whether to incorporate any into the changes that we may present to the city council. So that'll be part of our discussion. It's deliberation and discussion. Okay? All right. If there's nothing else, I will go ahead and close the public hearing portion. It is 7:02. Ms. Porter.
Yes.
Did you need to leave? Do you want to take a break? Staff, do you want to take a break?
No, I'm good, we're good, but if you want to break, we just looks like we're
Okay, is everybody okay to go on?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for checking. I'm good till 7:45.
Okay. So then we'll move along to the next agenda item, which is deliberation and discussion. So,
Are you wanting to start out with,
pardon?
are you wanting to start out with looking at each one and discussing it through each page, or how did you, what was your thoughts?
So, there have been a lot of comments tonight, and there were several comments that we received prior to the meeting in writing.
I have a recommendation.
Sean has a recommendation. What is it, Sean?
I think the most prudent action that we should do is have the city attorney look at this draft. There's points like review with Lane County and have their counsel look at it. Because there's points of like, this isn't following the correct code. So trying to pour something through where there's concerns of legality is just going to add more public frustration. When we're going through this, I said, all right, what is the model code? What is Lane County's code? We need to emulate the code of the surrounding areas.
No, I thought that occurred.
It has in some areas and not in others.
Okay.
So
Okay,
the
then
areas that have been addressed that say this is
Or
incorporated.
let me rephrase that.
Okay.
City attorneys, plural, have or did review this several years ago in detail. I think that it's been reviewed sectionally, by section, from time to time since then, but an in toto review by an attorney, I don't believe has occurred. So.
I know Ross had looked at a few sections prior to 2020.
Say that again.
Our city attorney prior to 2020, I remember going through parts of it when we were working on it. But that was
Yes.
a bit ago.
So that's years ago.
Yeah.
So, but, so, No, a city attorney has not just recently reviewed all of this language. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Hurley, do you have any comments on this right now? On procedurally?
No, but you all seem like a very aware planning commission, and you've been doing this for several years now, and you're way familiar with the process. So given that you've received so many comments tonight and, things for consideration, maybe you continue the hearing to a date certain and date and time certain so that you can come back and discuss those in detail before you make a recommendation. But I'm sure you're already aware of that possibility, but I have nothing else further to add.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, let's digress from that for just a moment and go back to Mr. Hurley's staff report. Well done, Mr. Hurley. Good staff report, very succinct, and I appreciate you writing it. I truly do. I did have a couple of, I think, comments maybe, or corrections, if you don't mind.
Yes, please. You can, if the planning commission wants to change some of so as you saw, they're framed like staff responses, so they're absolutely up for debate and change. The planning commission, should adopt or recommend findings, that match their recommendation to the city council.
Yeah. So that part seems easy to do, so let's do that. So on page 3, at the top of the page, it says staff notes a number of responses with regard to conformance with statewide planning goals. Also apply to conformance with Dune City Comprehensive Plan Update 1979.
Okay.
I would just like to point out that the comp plan was also updated in 1997.
Okay.
I don't believe it was content. I believe it was to adopt new inventory maps for wetland, riparian zone.
Okay.
It was also updated again in 2013 when the citizen involvement process was revised.
Okay.
Okay, and then in your third paragraph down on the same page, there's another reference to where it's been last updated in 79, so that would not be entirely accurate. That was just me nitpicking, Mr. Hurley, I'm so sorry.
No, that's
okay. So, it would be my recommendation that we continue further discussion about the content here.
I mean, the comments.
The comments received tonight.
The comments received tonight as well as the written comments.
Okay.
Yes.
At another time. And I'm going to suggest at another time because I'd like to see if, in fact, the city attorney can, in some very short time, maybe from the 10,000 foot level, look at some of the comments. We could give the attorney some direction on where to look because some of the comments raised here and in writing have been specific to certain sections that involve legalities, so we may be able to provide sections for the person to go to. That, a city's attorney's review would perhaps give the public a little more confidence in our work. What do you think, Lila?
I'll do what you tell me to do.
Okay. I think it's going to be very difficult to get an attorney to review it in a week, but I would like to come back, if the commission agrees.
I agree.
I would like to come back next week and tackle the individual comments that we've received.
Next week.
Next week. We're going to ignore the Scrivener errors because they're not germane to the content. Appreciate them though.
Correct.
Do appreciate them greatly.
And some of that is because we took a very large document that had 6 or 7 colors, and I know the Jacksons can relate. And I tried to make it just 3 colors, right, so that it'd be easier for everybody to read. So yes.
So the commas and the run-ons, I completely understand.
Yeah, it's not.
There were also at least 2 versions of the document melded together, and they may not have merged exactly correctly.
Well, and also getting that large of a document online, it doesn't look like what I see on my computer, right? I mean, it doesn't, I can't get it, it's too big.
Formatting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just too big.
But again, that's not germane to
Right.
the content. So the content is what we're focused on. So commissioners, next Thursday, 6 p.m.
I'm out of town for work.
Oh dear.
I'm available Friday evening. I'm out of town Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
I think Monday's kind of short, but I could do Friday.
Monday is too short. We want to try to get some attorney feedback before we get together.
So are you coming in on Monday to help me figure out what sections?
She would love to.
I beg your pardon.
So if everyone's available Friday, I know it's a Friday evening, Mr. Grundon, after very,
That's what we gotta do.
I'm just out of town for work, so I apologize.
I can do the next Friday.
I know city offices usually close, but does that work for you, Lila?
That would be fine. My question is, what time? Are we still doing 6? Are we gonna do earlier possibly?
I'm not opposed to earlier.
I'm not opposed.
I could definitely do earlier. I could make arrangements as early as needed.
Gail?
I think Mr. Grundon might be 4 is probably the earliest.
Yes,
Yeah,
I can
that'd
do
be
earlier.
better.
Would you rather do something closer to 4 or something later?
I think I can do closer to 4 for y'all.
I figured you might not. And I can just make arrangements for work, so that would be just fine.
Rapunzel, 4? On Friday?
I have nothing else to do.
Okay. So,
You're a wonderful person.
Okay.
Gail is too.
And unfortunately, I mean, we're not here.
4 p.m. March 6th.
So, I mean, how much notice do we need to get out there?
We do not to publish, Mr. Hurley, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't publish additional notice at this time?
No, not for this continuance, because everybody there in attendance, this is their notice that they're receiving from the planning commission right now.
If we do happen to.
Now, if the city council date gets blown, we'll have to revisit that. But in terms of your continuance tonight, if you provide notice right now, the date, time, and certain, that is their notice.
Our goal is to try to wrap this up before the noticed city council meeting so that we have a document to present to them. So,
yeah.
Okay. So we will continue our discussions of the detail on Friday next.
Friday next, March 6th. Okay.
Is it the 6th?
It should be on my way, yes.
March 6th at 4 p.m.
March 6th.
March 6th at 4 p.m. And if Miss Juliana Johnson left contact information or an email address on her sign-in sheet, could we reach out to her since she's no longer present and just let her know that we are meeting back then to continue? Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay, Mr. Hurley, I have one more question for you,
Yes.
if you don't mind.
No, absolutely.
Okay, so we have a number of comments, specific ones that we plan to address. Should we decide to amend the existing multi-revised version that we're working with now, can we incorporate these brand new changes into that, or must we list them somehow separately so the city council knows what those changes are?
We'll probably do it both ways. We can nest those changes within the code itself, and then we can explicitly pull them out and identify them in a staff report.
Okay. Excellent.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Just wondering if, I mean, some of the changes you guys have made are sort of expanding options for the community to utilize, and then some changes are more restrictive and or maybe more controversial. But would there be any benefit to sort of taking the sections that have a lot of comment and almost like not changing those, but then getting the rest through so that then you could pass it in a couple steps instead of feeling rushed in just 1 week or so? Just a thought, because I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff in there.
It's a lovely thought, and I appreciate it.
That's helpful. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you want me to answer the question, actually?
I personally would have a hard time, let's say, for example, if you and 3 other individuals had the same question, how do I justify addressing yours, but not one person feeling that theirs is just as important?
I was more just saying, if there's a whole bunch that probably hasn't been commented on. I mean, I'm not sitting
I see
here.
what you're saying.
If you literally had every single change complained about, my suggestion
We have
useless.
literally had
And I apologize for that ignorance, but.
Okay, that's okay.
No, that's okay.
We have literally had changes, to changes for years now. And so the goal is, some of these changes are quite significant and important. We want to take the time to consider those. Once we've done that, we hope that we can go ahead and recommend that the city council adopt what we have. It may not be perfect, this is true. In fact, I'm sure it's not, but it will bring us more up to date than where our existing code is. And it will give us a clean slate for starting further revisions if we have to. Mr. Olson, if I could just address quickly your comment on the low and high water marks. That has been a discussion for years, what the right watermark is. I don't believe that the process and exactly who does what to determine that has ever been resolved.
But we need to look at resolving it, because if you look at that at 13.5, I think is what it states, that's darn near to
It's flood stage.
Darling's Loop, the road.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
and it's an unrealistic number, so
So the
it
number-
definitely needs to be addressed, that's all I'm saying.
The number that's currently in our code comes directly from the comp plan, which was first written and adopted in 1976, I think.
This
And it
lake
hasn't-
never runs that on a mean level.
Well, I'm just saying, that's where the number comes from. I know that about 10 years or so ago, there was some discussion about how to change those values, and the issue was never resolved. So that's why the number looks out of whack to you. So-
Well, that's why I brought it up. It should
Okay.
be resolved.
Okay, I don't know that we'll be able to resolve it in a week.
Well,
So, it's one of those things that if it's still out of whack when it's presented to the city council, can be something that the council can look into.
because realistically, that water level, that
I
mean
understand.
water level affects
I
everything.
understand completely.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to address your concern, and thank you for that. Because you're not the only one who's mentioned it.
Hmm?
You're not the only one who's mentioned it, and again, the concern has been around for years, literally.
Well, that's why we're here, right, is we're trying to address and correct things that,
I'm not sure that we'll get it done for this version, but your comment and your concern is noted. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so our next planning commission meeting will be solely for the purpose of addressing the specific comments that we've received. And that meeting will be March 6th, which is a Friday at 4. And thank you, Lila, I know that's your day off. We owe you for that.
We would like to know, is that an open meeting? You did say that to somebody. Did you
We're
not have
required
it
to have
invited?
an open meeting, Ms. Jackson.
Okay, and it's at 4 o'clock on Friday the 6th. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hurley, is there anything else?
No, I think you all did a great job tonight. Applaud you for, taking everything into consideration, and you have a really good planning commission there. It seems like you guys have put a lot of time and effort into this code and kind of take some pride in it. So good on everyone tonight.
Okay, thank you. Hey, can I ask you one other question? So, if, I don't know how many changes we're going to be making, but just assume there'll be quite a few.
Okay,
Will
that's fine.
Will you have time to nest those into a staff report and findings of fact for the council?
Let me look at a calendar real quick to see what we're working with here. So, if the planning commission, directs staff to make certain changes next Friday on March 6th, the city council meets on the 17th. So staff would have
On the 18th.
pretty much the 18th. So staff would have probably 2 days to incorporate those changes. And yeah, I can make that happen. As long as, if the city council gives us direction, we'll do absolutely everything we can to have a staff report ready in time, 7 days prior.
Okay, I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Henry.
Yes, thank you all.
Okay. Oh, you guys are packing up. I was gonna say we could
Keep
get
going.
started.
No, you can keep going.
I was gonna say we could start.
There's a little unfinished business, so please continue.
Okay, all right. Any other comments for the good of the order from you guys, Steve? John?
You have anything, Rapunzel?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Then I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
thank you.
Second.
We'll adjourn at 7:25.